Welcome to Go Home Heat, a special edition sports entertainment podcast. Boy, was that a lot. We just watched the TLC pay-per-view ending with The Fiend dying on fire.
Well, okay, hold on. Now, we're just kind of skipping to the end, huh?
Yeah, let's talk about that first, and then we'll go back.
There's not a lot of tender love and care in
We'll
TLC.
we'll end this with the pre-show match.
Yeah, that's right.
No, we'll go to the pre-show
That's
match, and we'll work our way through. Nothing much there. We have Ray.
Say, hi, my name is Ray.
I
Nick.
believe the kids call me Lit Nick. I'm not for sure.
Nick's back from school. Go Home Heat
Again?
Kid Ray.
Yeah.
Yes, we're lucky here. Got everybody in one room.
One more time.
Daniel Bryan, Big E, Otis, Gable versus Corbin, Cesaro, Shinsuke, Sammy. Main takeaways here: Corbin has a green pant leg and a black pant leg. The
No,
other
it's a
main
gold pant
takeaway.
leg.
I said green.
Are you
It was
colorblind?
gold. Yes. And the real main takeaway is that Otis and Gable are about to go into a program with Shinsuke and Cesaro, and the pin wound up being Sammy over Big E.
No Big E over Sammy.
Yes.
That's
Big
right.
E over Sammy.
So we can set up.
And Big E is going to be
Going
wrestling
off
Sammy for the Intercontinental title
on Friday night.
Friday night, Christmas Day.
SmackDown.
Merry Christmas, SmackDown.
Hallelujah. Merry Christmas.
The Firefly Carol is a thing that they show us pre-thing, and then right before the actual match. It was cool. Amazing Bray's very smart. He does a little rhyme through it, and then they do a little song, and it's dope. But let's get to the real deal.
Yeah,
AJ versus Drew
Okay.
opens this pay-per-view up. Yes.
Okay. I think this pay-per-view, I'm just going to say overall thoughts on the pay-per-view first.
Okay.
I think this pay-per-view, what I think it's trying to be, it was trying to be like a little bit of like a return to form for WWE, and I think it was kind of that a little bit. And I think, yeah, just go on and describe this match, and then I'll say my
Your thoughts. We're gonna unravel what he means as we go match by match.
Yeah.
I believe. We're gonna have a little bit of a story.
The common thread through this episode
Yeah.
is
Ray enjoying something.
no. You said
A return to
WWE
form.
trying to return to form. Correct.
Trying to return to
form.
form.
Right.
Especially after the wacky year they had in 2020.
Let's move back to the pay-per-view. Drew dominates early. AJ finally flips it with a chair to the back.
Chair.
Actually, this was really good. It's just so much has happened since this happened, since this match. We had some really good spots in here. We had the modified calf crusher through the ladder, another modified calf crusher onto the through the chair onto a leg.
Onto Drew.
Yeah, and then AJ's story is he's working the leg of Drew the entire time, and Drew's story is, of course, he combats all these things and manages to conquer. We have a really good matchup, and it looks like Drew has finally got this thing won when he manages to dispose of AJ. And
Well, here's the thing you forgot.
Yes.
Right when Drew's about to get it, who should come running down the ramp after both of them are sprawled out on the ground?
I was getting there.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll be back. It's been
We had
a long pay-per-view.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day for me.
we had a very good little one-on-one match, and then as Drew is about to win, Miz and Morrison come running down, interfere, and that turns into almost pulling, because they get rid of Drew and AJ's still out, almost pulls Miz off the ladder as he is about to win. He has cashed in his money in the bank. We have restarted this match. He cradles him like a baby, drops him onto a table outside,
Drops.
and
I saw it.
then the Morrison tries to counter almost his involvement by breaking a chair over his back, which in turn turns into Morrison running away
Yeah.
from the match in order to get away from Omos, and as Omos chases, now we have a legitimate 3-on-3 matchup, and it winds up being very good as well. We think that AJ is going to win. No. We think
that
Drew
Miz
is going
was
to
Drew.
win, and then it winds up being AJ and Drew atop the ladder, and then the Miz goes up and gets involved in all of this. They get Drew off the ladder, and then it's the Miz and AJ upon the top of the ladder, And that is when Drew manages to push double ladders over. Again, it looks like Drew's got this thing for sure, but The Miz lands fairly okay. And as he turns to try to re-enter the fight with Drew, Drew claymores him, ascends to the top of the ladder, wins the belt. What did we think of this?
My feelings on this match were kind of mixed a little.
Why's that?
It is more 50-50 because I do think the wrong person won, and I am very, I don't know if infamous or famous for highly viewing the endings
hard shooter, as we shall call it,
and are viewing the ending very highly or as the highest point in the match. I do think it kind of sucked that they kind of misused the Money in the Bank like that. I think Miz or AJ should have won. I'm not the biggest fan of Drew McIntyre. But other than that, it was pretty fun, even though it could tend to ebb a little bit. I think this match, for the most part, was kind of fun.
I will echo Ray's sentiments. However, I will make one difference. Is like I'm a fan of Drew McIntyre being. I was a fan of it when he won the Rumble. I was a fan of it when he had the title for a bit. But I will be 100% honest with you. I was kind of hoping for my man Miz when I saw him run down the ramp. I think we all kind of were, because the match was definitely fun and insane. Because as you noticed when we were rattling off by we, I mean of course KP, like everything that happened in that match. Like, we kind of hit the high points. There's so much that has happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I almost forgot certain bits. I forgot that almost had a chair broken on his back, and it broke on him, and he just slowly Terminator turns to Morrison, just T-1000s chases him out of the building.
Right.
Probably my favorite part of the match.
Right.
Seeing Morrison just skitter away, just is great. But I do think that it was a fun match. It was a little crazy, a little bit, sometimes a bit much, but it is a TLC match. What are you going to expect? But yeah, fun time.
I would say that I didn't particularly like them using the Money in the Bank here, but it did make for a great match.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I would have liked them to use it if they weren't going to change the title, use it later. Mm-hmm. But like you said, the Money in the Bank really isn't that far away. Like I said, the Royal Rumble's next month, so we can at the end of next month have a new challenger that will get to pick whatever champion he wants at Mania. So then you can go kind of into a similar program anyway. So if you're going to do it and have him retain, this is a good spot for it.
But what if they had a Seth Rollins moment at Mania, where the Miz ran out?
Well, I mean, do you really think the Miz is going
I think there's a Money in the Bank between now and Mania.
Isn't there?
No, I don't think there is.
Is it?
Oh, wait, no,
it's
that's
Mania.
right. It's right
and
after.
then Money.
Yeah.
You guys are both right. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think, of course, I think both Miz and AJ are 50 times better than Drew. Not to knock on Drew,
but you're very high on them.
But I do like AJ, and I think Miz is a lot better on the mic.
Miz has the mic skills. AJ's got the skills.
Well, and two, with a guy like the Miz with a superior talent like Morrison running alongside him as champ, with the championship advantage of you have to pin me to beat me. He can cheat, get disqualified, do neat things that make the program interesting as he slimily hangs on to a title. Whereas Drew's title reign has been reduced, and I mean that just like I said it. But I will say Drew has had very good title matches. His pay-per-view matches have been very, very good. You know what I mean? And but
that
being said, there's little doubt when he gets into the ring that he's going to win and walk
that's
through
why
fire.
when the Miz walked out there, I was like, oh, okay, now there's like jeopardy, and that's why I was kind of rooting for Miz, because I wanted to. Like, it's kind of like when Orton beat like Drew the first time. I wasn't here for that discussion, but I was like, okay, switching it up a bit. We're gonna have more Orton hold the belt for a bit, and then it switched back. Like, okay, sure. Okay.
It's interesting that Drew is booked similar to Super Cena and Roman were booked.
Yeah.
And yet the crowd still the crowd
people
still seem to but the people still seem to like him, so it is. And I do think that the company would like for there to be crowds before they decide to
because I want to see
belt off
what
on him.
McIntyre actually does with the crowd, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Kayla talks to Paul backstage, which was fine. talks about how he likes car
Ball.
crashes, and we're getting to that. And it's boss time. We get the women's title match, Carmella versus Sasha Banks, and I thought this was quite good. We get Sasha throwing Mella out of the ring fairly early on. Reginald, her
is it concierge?
No, it's
something. A wine person.
Sommelier or whatever.
Sommelier.
The person who holds her, yes, he holds her wine. Okay,
I don't know.
catches her, and then Sasha goes for the leap onto Reginald as he's holding her. Reginald avoids, and then actually hands Mella some form of a Conrado, which I thought was dope. That was a good spot outside. Mella rolls Sasha into the ring. That winds up being a series of roll around. After Mella kicks out on two, we get a series of roll arounds. We do get the Three Amigos spot from Sasha. That turns into a frog splash, and she doesn't get the win there. It's a 2 count. Mella gets a float over tilt-a-whirl into an X-Pac plant, which could have easily been a finish in a normal match. It wasn't here. I'm not criticizing that. I'm just pointing it out that it was a quality finish. And then Mella winds up. They get into multiple, as we get towards the ending, multiple scenarios where they are mat wrestling, and I was very impressed with Mella being able to, because I've seen Sasha in these scenarios now with Bayley, Asuka, even Io Shirai, and they all worked, and I've seen her in, and so my point here is to see Mella keep up on that level was pretty cool. And then of course the ending winds up being that finally Mella has said that she will be the one, that Sasha will be the one to lose her concentration, but Mella was the one who couldn't get the finish, didn't understand it, got mad, lost her concentration, went for the same face plant that she got on Sasha earlier. That got turned into the Bank statement, and Mella winds up having to tap. I thought it was interesting that you would have a pay-per-view that you know is going to be full of high spots, and you have two people capable of high spots make the decision to do a lot of their work on the ground.
Not mat rest.
And I think it worked for the pay-per-view, and I think it worked for the match, and I think it worked for me thinking Mella is formidable going forward, even though she lost, even if she's not in the title picture. I can see her in things that I will enjoy.
Absolutely.
What did you guys think?
I thought this match was solid. I thought this match was a start of a series of matches that I also thought were pretty solid. The next two, I as a lot of people know, I am a bit of a Carmella apologist. I don't view her as poorly as a lot of people do. I think she has upped her game wrestling wise, and Sasha's pretty good too. All the performances here were fairly solid. This was a pretty overall solid match.
I agree. It was definitely a solid match myself. I do think there was a comment made by Kev, which is like basically Mella is essentially Vicky Guerrero, and who was it?
She's a Vicky Guerrero Sasha mix.
Just in a blender.
If you added them up and divided by 2.
Yeah, because there's a point where like she's like had her in the first hold where she was like screaming, and I was like, oh, okay, I see the Vicky now.
And if you ever hear her laugh, it's very Vicky Guerrero-ish.
The point,
you know?
Yeah, the thing is,
and she's not quite coordinated like Sasha.
Yeah, like
she's a little thudsy, but she's still good.
It was definitely, yeah, I keep saying definitely because I agree basically with everything you said. Now I'm trying to think of what else.
You were going to rate this, rate the first 2.
I was going to rate the first 2.
You're a rater type kind of guy.
The first one I felt pretty 50-50 on.
So you gave it a 5?
It was like a
5 out of
5.
5 out of 10.
5 out of 5.
I'd give it like a 3 or a 2.5, mainly because it was pretty 50-50 to me. This match was like a 3.
Okay. Do you rate matches?
I don't, but I will. I'm not a fan of rating anything, but I'm gonna rate this like the first match solid 1 dog out of 1. You know, let me woof a bit and we go ooh, and then
go ahead.
I don't know. Second match, Sasha Banks. It gets 1 boss at a time. I will say I will rate and this will be true for any Sasha match. You have to remind me. I will be rating my man Michael Cole's boss time cries out. This is a 4 out of 10. Not his best work.
No.
It's
No,
not.
no, he saved his best work for later.
Yeah, he will, but I
He will
just want to
come
see a bit
aboard.
more from you during the pay-per-views.
Billie
Michael.
Kay wants to join up with Asuka. She says she speaks Japanese. She has been on all of these shows bringing her resumes to people. Asuka speaks Japanese at her fairly quickly, which there is confusion in there because Billie Kay was lying through her teeth. And Asuka says that the position has already been filled and that you are not ready for Asuka. And marches out because we are about to get New Day.
She marches out to not the match. We are
Not the match. I guess she marched out to go stretch. And Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are going to be wrestling Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin in the Hurt Business. This has been a strange rivalry. We had been mentioning that the Hurt Business would need to win to make it feel and make them feel more important. They had lost a couple of singles matches here and a tag team match, not a title. So it was kind of strange, but they challenge and the New Day continues to give them chances, and this would bite them in the toe. This was great. Kofi goes for a jump shoulder, catch it. He gets caught, turned into a rolling. This was
a good match.
It really was. I was
Absolutely.
going to try to read all of that, but let me just suffice it to say that was really good. Now, we do wind up getting the Hurt Business do some really good combo work throughout the match. Kofi and Xavier are very strong in this area as well. It winds up being the kind of thing where Kofi fights out of the double team here. He gets Sheldon in trouble. He's going to do the double stomp onto Sheldon's chest, or the, what do you call it when he used to do the boop boop before he does it?
I think it's like.
It's not a Trouble in Paradise. Well, whatever.
Crap, I forget what it's called, but
unique.
it's a stomach-like drop.
All right, but on the
boom boom.
jump, Sheldon springs up, catches him, has him
Boom drop. It's called the boom drop.
It's called the boom drop, exactly, because he goes boom boom, right?
Yeah.
Or used to. So he catches him on his shoulders, which was amazing. Then as he turns, Kofi is leaning backwards as Shelton is managing to be strong enough to hold a grown man trying to flip backwards, which he's trying to fake like he's trying to flip backwards. But still, optically, you can see that his weight isn't distributed straight up and down at all. And somehow Sheldon's able to keep him upright. And then as Alexander goes to do the double team jump onto Kofi, that's when Kofi rolls down, puts Shelton in a bad position. This turns into Kofi getting the actual Trouble in Paradise on Cedric, gets a 2 count. That turns into Shelton eventually getting the upper hand on Kofi, and as Shelton is awaiting Kofi, a blind tag winds up flipping the script on this. As Shelton is awaiting to put Kofi away, Cedric tags himself in, gets the lumbar check on Kofi, which is a brutal move, where he throws the guy in the air, falls to the ground, and manages to have his leg. It's in a backstabber position as your body concaves around his knees. That winds up being a 3 count. We've managed to tell the story of a rivalry we need. We have also told the story of Cedric growing in his own mind, maybe a little bit bigger than the sum of the parts here, because he tags himself in. Sheldon seems happy for him. By the same token, when Sheldon loses to Kofi a couple of weeks ago, Cedric says, "I'm not Sheldon Benjamin. Come in here and fight me." Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Cedric manages to go over, but Kofi had to fight 2 matches that night. That kind of thing. So all of a sudden, we have some dissension in the Hurt Business, but they hold all the gold that isn't the heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. I think we can go any direction we want with the New Day. If we want to make Xavier and Kofi, if you want Kofi to go for a world title, you can do that while we're waiting on other things to happen. If you want either one of them to go for the U.S. American title with Bobby, you can go that direction. You don't have to walk away from the feud between them, and you don't have to have it over the same belts. This can go any direction they want. They've written themselves into a wonderful spot. What did you think?
I think this match was good. And that's pretty much it. I think the spots were innovative. I think this might have been my favorite match of the night.
Cool.
Arguably.
What'd you rate it?
I'm not gonna. I don't feel like rating these matches, honestly,
Okay.
I'm gonna rate them, but we'll get to it.
because I don't really know the backstory that well.
I will say for sure this was also my favorite match of the night because I really dug the way. Okay, like I said in a previous podcast, it always bothers me when you have a group come together, a faction come together, and every time it counts they lose. This is the biggest problem I've had with the Hurt Business, with the exception of obviously Bobby Lashley with the U.S. title. Like, come on, guys. Get a win. So it was nice to see them get a win, and also the fact that they were able to get a win in such a fun way with all these cool moves, like you said earlier, with the boom drops flipping around.
And they wrestle stiff.
Oh, they wrestle.
It's firm.
Real stiff.
And Kofi, for a couple of guys that are supposed to be funny, Kofi, he's willing to get in there and hit and be hit, and so is Xavier. Everybody that's involved is a very good pro wrestler.
And my favorite part of the
and
match,
realistic.
And also when we were talking about earlier about how endings are very important to the match, ever since Cedric has been a part of the Hurt Business, and the reason why he went into the Hurt Business is because he couldn't get a win to save his life. And so the fact that that's why he smacked at the very end. I found that interesting for his character while we're talking about storytelling. Like the fact that you have him take away Shelton's moment because no, I have to be the one to pin him. I have to use my finisher. Right. I have to win because I need to prove that I.
That's the real story inside the clip.
Yeah, and that's why I really dug this match, and it was my favorite. Out of when we're talking about stars and how many matches, on a rating of Chris's, I've rated this 3 Chris Evans out of 4 Chris Pines.
Excellent. That's what I was looking for right there. That kind of commentary.
Yes.
Nia and Shayna versus Asuka, and the surprise, who we all guessed was going to be the surprise, Charlotte. And I'm going to be straightforward and honest. Before we get into the match itself, there is an ugh to this because I wanted to see the payoff with Lana, even though that match would not have been this good. I felt like I was spending my time. I've talked about that on a different pay-per-view. On a different podcast. If you want to listen to the one from 2 days ago, you can listen to me talk about all that ad nauseum. This match went a lot like I thought it would go. So everything I thought that frustrated me about it before it started happened. I don't care. This was really great women's wrestling. And Charlotte has changed her physical appearance a little bit in that she has lost a little bit of
weight,
what you would term muscle with her, into a slimmer, more lean look, which could just be, but she looks incredibly fit. I'm just saying she does look a little bit different. And she has a backstory with Nia of being mad at Nia. She insists she be tagged in order to fight Nia when Nia is in the match, but she doesn't overwhelm Nia. Nia overwhelms her. She winds up having to get a headlock and tag out. She makes the decision, even though this is her moment, for this to be a tag match. In Asuka and Charlotte, the professional women's wrestler champion veterans, wrestled in that manner in order to beat the more physical tag team, and they managed to take the tag team into deep waters. And Charlotte does wind up getting the finish on the callback once the mayhem happens and Asuka and Shayna are out of commission. No, Asuka and Nia are out of commission due to Nia trying to do something to Charlotte outside the ring. Asuka sacrifices herself by running along the apron and kneeing Nia in the face, and they both land. Charlotte gets the figure 8. It doesn't work. She turns and it doesn't work because Nia pulled her out of the ring.
Yes.
That didn't Asuka spot. And then we get natural selection, which was, I thought, when Charlotte first came on the scene as an NXT prodigy, the natural selection where she does Natalie does a similar version of it, but she does the flip over the top of them, almost like like a kneeling sliced bread. Boom, puts your face first in the ground. I thought, man, when I saw her do that move the first time, I said, that's the move that's going to keep her the title for years to come. She went away from it with the figure 8 as a callback to her dad. She has some aerial maneuvers she uses. She used some of them in this match. When she went back to that one, I kind of popped for it because it is a callback to who she was as the young
Prodigy. Face,
right? It was.
etc.
I thought it was cool. Now you have the belts on Asuka. You can go in any direction here with the story. You can have Charlotte go into a program as a tag team wrestler and as a solo wrestler with Nia. Eventually, Charlotte's going to wind up having to get into something with Asuka. Asuka and Baszler can go for the main title. It makes Monday night the difference. You said during the broadcast, Monday Night Raw's women's division doesn't measure up to SmackDown's, and it hasn't in some time, probably since Becky
Left.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden everything is different.
Now we're adding some spice.
Right. Now, what did you think about it?
I was a little disappointed.
Okay.
I mean, it was a little forgettable at least to me. I don't really remember a specific spot. I also kind of wish Shayna maybe pulled something out, because it just does kind of rub me the wrong way that I get it. She did lose to Charlotte. That's not really a burial. I'm not going to call it that. But it does kind of suck to me that she just takes pins a lot of the time when she should be women's champ.
She has had some great matches lately, and I do think maybe we get the natural selection in the chaos because we don't want the submission specialist tapping out to
That's what I was
Charlotte
thinking
with the
was
figure
gonna
eight,
be.
right? What did you think about it?
I thought it was pretty fun. That was good. It was nice to see Charlotte. I popped at some of the old moves. It was like I was like seeing an old friend after a long bit.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
oh, there it is. She did the little kip up, where she just leaps up. And I didn't see the strut, but also we just saw Ric Flair just in the back, just like
Yes.
it was never paid off. It was like, okay, sure, go ahead, Rick. You
Ric
stay.
Flair, Ashley's dad.
Ashley, I'm Ashley's dad. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ash. Charlotte's real name, by the way.
Okay, well, let's not expose the business.
I mean, he literally calls her that all the time on accident, and then has to change it, so it's all good.
And they dubbed over Charlotte. But it was definitely a fun match. I do think that it is interesting that, like, I thought that what we were building up to, which was going to be the implosion of the tag team, didn't actually happen for, like, when they're taking the belts off of them. But it could be that we're saving it for later as a thing, but I don't know.
Well, with Charlotte in the division, I don't want them to be broke up anymore. Because now there's something formidable for them to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Before, with Charlotte not in the division, it felt to me like in order for them to ever lose, they have to implode.
Yeah.
Now we can have a program, and I don't want them. I want to have a program where they beat Asuka and Charlotte and get back those belts, and also wind up. I'd love to have a program where they actually win as a team, and then the other two, then they lose in singles competition, or vice versa. That's neat too.
You know what I think I want?
Go ahead.
I don't watch WWE, but you know what I think I want?
What do you want?
I think I want the belt on Shayna.
Ah.
Well, that's coming. I should get it.
You know,
I
the thing is,
don't know,
Becky wanted to drop the. Well, that's a whole thing. Becky wanted to drop the belt to Shayna ages ago, but things didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway,
Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns and company. Roman comes out slowly but surely. He's got Paul with him. And lo and behold, before they even ring the bell, Kevin jumps him, and we get ourselves a Donnybrook.
Donnybrook.
Roman goes into the ladder before we get started. Like I said, as this beatdown is continuing, Jay runs 50 yards to run straight into a super kick, and he's put out of the commission there for a little while. And then it winds up being 2-on-1 until Kevin Owens hits the combo super kick stunner, which frees up time again. Roman gets him on the outside. No. Before then, Jay makes a comeback, winds up going through a table. That's when Roman gets a hold of him on the outside. And I've never quite seen anybody handle stairs the way Roman is able to just hold them and multiply swing them in different directions and hit people with them without putting them down and restarting. And that's
compare it to something like when he's holding up a ladder to something that like football, like
right. He held the ladder like it was a tackling dummy of some
tackling.
kind, and was pushing back into Kevin as Kevin was trying to come forward, and that was again it's a really long, awkward piece of heaviness that he's grabbed a hold of, and it's nothing to. He's just super strong. And Paul selling Roman being violent is amazing. The way he does that, the way he seems like he's scared of his mentor when. Well, the thing is, that's one of the intricacies of this story is that the Beast, Brock Lesnar, never scared Paul. Mm-hmm. Roman does. Mm-hmm. That's one of the underlying things here of the whole thing. And the other thing is that Roman is utilizing this whole thing, like you said, I believe, in a mafia style. My family helps me fight. Whereas, right. Now, it is brutal. Owens, what a performance by Kevin Owens. He was incredible throughout the whole thing. He kept getting hit and thrown through things and hit and thrown through things. And kept getting up. There were a couple of times where he went a back body drop through 2 chairs set up, which is always a brutal looking spot, and then he does the fisherman suplex with Roman onto another one that was brutal. Every time he's about to win, Jay manages to get up and hobble over and stop him from winning. The Roman put him through a table. One spot where he put him through a table that was leaning on the corner looked brutal as all get out.
Spear.
Kevin rolls outside of the ring and continues to run his mouth and goads Roman into trying to hit him again, and he rolls out of the way and Roman takes out the whole barricade. That was brutal on Roman, it looked like, which I don't think it was, but it was a wonderful spot. They managed to, without doing the crazy I'm going to jump onto you spots, they still managed to make this match incredibly brutal in a Roman Reigns style, which I thought was interesting. And Kevin was the star here, even though he winds up eventually losing. He's about to win it. Jay comes down, and then he's about to win it again. Roman climbs up. Roman does the cheat, hit him in the tallywhacker through the ladder, and
is that bad luck?
When he bends down, yeah, it's 100% bad luck for whoever you hit. And then he puts him in the guillotine, chokes him out as Kevin collapses to the ground. Roman slowly pulls the belt, and we have still the champion, still the head of the table, still the man who puts the food on the plates for the entire company, Roman freaking Reigns. Thoughts? Ray, what you think?
I, again, kind of thought this was solid. I don't really know what else to say other than I think this is probably the most interesting I've seen Roman maybe ever. And Kevin Owens is just, he's Kevin Owens.
Right.
You can do whatever.
I said to Justin yesterday, a day for yesterday, on the pod, I said, when Owens is healthy, he's the best there is.
Yeah.
If you count every single thing, if you count being able to wrestle, being able to talk, being able to be a bad guy, being able to be a good guy. The problem is he's never healthy for long stretches. When he's healthy, there's nobody more well-rounded. And it's not like Booker said something about Bayley where he said, I've always said you're not great, but you're really good at everything. And he meant it as a compliment. Kevin's not really good at everything. Kevin's great across the board at everything he does.
Can I nitpick a little bit, though?
What?
Okay,
the nut punch on the ladder, that was a bit much. Come on.
I mean, if it's there, it's there.
Like, you could have...
No DQ!
You could have just, like...
It wasn't illegal.
I mean,
it wasn't illegal, but it was a bit...
Oh, shout out to Michael Cole and to... what's the partner?
Corey
Graves. They were great in this match. Cole.
Yeah, this is probably the best I've seen Michael Cole in genuine years.
Every time he's doing like these kinds of matches with Roman and like the big like spectacle stuff, he seems to like hit his stride.
I like to you pointed out the tallywhacker punch was something that bothered you. Cole, right? Cole has just seen a man go through 7 tables, 2 different people beating him up the whole time, and he says. he sold that nut punch like that's where I draw the line. And Corey was like, dude, he's been cheating. I mean, he didn't say it like that because he's the heel announcer, but he's basically said he's been cheating the whole time. What's your problem? And he's like, that's different. That's manhood. That's manhood right there, what he did. And it was just like, yes, Cole, that is his manhood he put his hands on. What is wrong with that man? Come on, Cole.
Love it.
I thought it was great.
I think. Are you talking about the nut punch?
Yeah.
You thought that was great.
No, I thought Cole's call on it was good. The way he hated it so very much, and the way he pointed out that was worse than all the other physicality we had seen over the course of the time.
How dare you?
Because that's low blow.
Anything above the waist.
But the way,
Below the waist.
in conversation they say, "Hey, that was a low blow," and it literally was a low blow.
it just to me, the nut punch seemed a little corny. At least a little too corny for my taste. Everything else was really good though.
Okay.
How dare they have
What'd
something
you
corny
think?
in wrestling?
What'd you think?
Okay. I dug the match a lot. I think out of the two TLC matches, it was probably the one I leaned towards being the one that I preferred out of the two. I think y'all kind of hit the nail on the head on all the best parts of it. Shout out to Kevin Owens for going through so many tables. And then my favorite part that you never mentioned was not my favorite part, but because you mentioned the good old just fall from chokes him out and just knocks him over again. They were good.
The way he sold being unconscious.
Yeah, just
falling from the top of a ladder.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the one thing that I loved, my man puts Jay through the announce table, proceeds to bury him like his name is Hunter Hills Hemsley. He just throws a chair on him and is like, and we're good.
Well, Friday night they did the same thing to Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
They put everything on top of him.
Yeah.
So that was a callback there.
Yeah, it's a nice callback. It's a nice little fun thing.
Absolutely.
It's enjoyable.
Also, I want to say too that Roman during matches having these arguments with himself
That's my favorite part of
is very contradictory to who he is in promos. Because anytime he's not in the middle of a match,
it's kind of like the whole story of Roman, right? Everything is kind of hid behind this thinly veiled lie. Like, he seems together. He
wants to
like
seem
he
like
respects himself. He seems like all this stuff when all that is just
the one
not
thing.
true at all.
Yeah, the thing is, that's what's interesting about his character. I will also double down on and say, the thing that seems to be the one thing about his heel character is the thing that kills him is insecurity, which is the seed of doubt. Because
the
everyone has
insecurity-
doubted him since the beginning.
the
the
worry of
insecurity.
embarrassment.
Well, the
Yes.
insecurity and the embarrassment that's come across him saying "suffering succotash, son," and everybody booing him. That's been building up forever, and that's why I say this is easily the most complex and well thought out I've seen Roman ever.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Now, on
This
to
was my favorite match. That was my favorite match of the night, by the way.
that one was the Roman one?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, straight up.
Firefly, Carol, again, they show a replay of what we saw before, and then we have a normal match for a little bit. As what we're doing here is we have a Firefly caught on fire style of
Firefly Inferno match.
Inferno match with The Fiend, Randy Orton. Both guys are fully dressed because at some point they may be caught on fire, and if one of them isn't fully dressed, then we know who obviously is going to win. Now, we have a normal match early on. None of what Randy does affects The Fiend. And then The Fiend begins to overwhelm Orton, to which point he hits his sister Abigail. Orton rolls out of the ring, and that is when we get the Firefly stuff because The Fiend does a cane, drops his hands, and the whole arena, the areas behind
The Thunderdome.
the barricade catch on fire, and there are poles that go up and down that also catch on fire, along with different setups around it that will catch on fire, and all of these will ebb and flow with the Fiend's progress during the match.
Yes.
And the Fiend is on the aggressive here. He finds a belt that he hits Randy with for a little bit, and then he finds this different belt that he has.
He lights on
fire.
fire.
He lights on fire, swings at Randy, and misses. He grabs a pickaxe and somehow gets it stuck in the back of the barricade.
Minecraft Steve him.
And when he tries to get the pickaxe free, Randy flips the script for a little bit, but then as the Fiend gets him back under control, he gets the Sister Abigail chair, and he creates a gas line to which he's going to burn Randy up in. He throws Randy on said chair, lights the front of the gas line on fire, and you get the streaming gas towards the chair. Randy rolls out of the way. Chair catches on fire. The match progresses. They light up. Randy gets a hold of an axe handle. Eventually, that gets lit on fire. Eventually, the finish would be when Randy gets the Fiend caught on fire. The Fiend on fire runs towards Randy who's in the ring, and Randy catches him. And Randy puts a man running on fire into an RKO, and then he is out. And then Randy, as he's laying there, having been on fire, as the fire begins to go out, Randy gets more gas, puts it on him, and lights him on fire. And as we cut to credits, just like Once Upon a Time, we saw Randy standing in front of the Fiend. The way the Fiend was created was Bray Wyatt's sister Abigail home got burned to the ground by Randy Orton, and Randy Orton stood in front of it in his pose. Now the Fiend has been burned. We would have to assume to death, even though we're sure he'll be back. He's burning in the ring, and the place is on fire, and Randy is posing as we cut to credits.
What? That's my
What do we think?
I have mixed feelings on this match. I think I'm not gonna blame this match for not explaining the rules to me. From what you guys said, the rules were already explained, and I just wasn't told them the night, so I'm not gonna put that on the match. But this match was overall kind of confusing, to the point where throughout the match I was kind of wondering what was even going on before I could find a grasp on something. And while the parts that did stick out pretty good and well, I think, the CGI on the Fiend was bad. I'm just gonna outright say
the part where he was running. For those of you who don't know, he was running when he was caught on fire. There was a bit on there, like they probably caught him on fire a little bit before it went out, because it was kind of a cinematic-ish match, I guess is what I call it, where he was kind of running into the ring, and that is when they had to CG on some fire effects.
And the fire effects were not great.
I mean,
they're pretty unfortunate. The mannequin was a very well built mannequin.
By the way, we are once again talking about when
he gets lit on fire, it was a mannequin, not him.
We did not actually light the man Bray Wyatt on fire. He is a father.
And I get that they did need to do that, but still.
My favorite part of that one section was the way that they were. We were talking about the announcement team earlier. Then the way that Joe and then we're like, "No, don't do it. This is an abomination. Don't do it. This is terrible." It's like,
this is a demon.
This is good. This is good. This is like cleaning out the house.
Randy Orton is the good guy here, and also
you're not rooting against the Exorcist in The Exorcist.
I don't know how the Fiend. I think the only way the Fiend really could have changed Randy is if he retired him. I don't really know how you could really change Randy, because he's already done so much throughout his career. If you just changed him, he would have just changed back to another segment in his career. Other than that, it was what it was.
Okay, what it was.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was like out of everything, which is like TLCs are. I've noticed like just about the kind of what Paul Heyman said earlier. It's about a car crash. It's about the spectacle of it all. And so, in terms of sheer spectacle, it is what it says on the tin. The man was set on fire, and he won the match. What can I say? That's what it is. And it was, for what it was fun time. It was just like getting to see Bray just go off with his little weird imagination, being like, I'm gonna whip you with this belt, then I'm gonna throw away the belt, then I'm gonna get another belt that's in the middle of me, and I'm gonna set it on fire. I'm gonna try to whip you, and then you're gonna get out the way.
I'm gonna make one of those cool fire lines. I'm gonna burn the chair down,
and you're gonna miraculously get out of the way. And Randy's like, whoa, this is gonna be taped, right?
And we also got the Sister Abigail chair burning up. So they utilized this feud is over years, and they utilized all of those things in different points in the match to tell the story. They managed to. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was smart. I thought it was fun.
To be fair, though, the story that Randy told with Fiend leading up to WrestleMania was not that good.
But this is building off of that.
This is building off of the storyline that wasn't good.
But
while granted, it is better than the storyline that wasn't good.
Okay, I enjoyed that before, and I enjoyed this today.
Well,
So
Yeah,
I'm okay with you.
I want you to know that
enjoyed
he's currently wielding a knife, pointing it at his. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm just saying.
we're all being cool here.
Are you saying are you saying you enjoyed at WrestleMania when Randy Orton and Bray fought and there were bugs on the ring, and then Randy beat Bray for the belt? Are you saying you enjoyed that?
I like this match. I wish they hadn't had the bugs. Other than that, that's fine. I didn't mind him burning down his house. I thought that was good. I thought the fight inside the house was cool. Again, you're talking about ending, but you didn't like this match. It's fine.
I didn't dislike it. I thought it was mixed.
Now, you did say towards the beginning, because this is the final match, the last thing he does the what pose, as I call it, because he does that weird. Because it looks like when he's stretching out his arms, everybody that was listening, it looks like he's like holding there, and then like after a dot, like I can hear in the background stuff.
Two people posing like Randy Orton in front of me right now.
I'm holding a knife. No, I'm kidding.
Wonderful. But now you said return to form. I believe that's where you're going.
Yes, it is where I was going.
What do I mean by that? I mean, after such a wacky and crazy year as WWE had within 2020, like everything was, so much was going on with WWE. I feel like this, while I hear you guys say, "Oh, it's so much happened," I felt everything was, except for that Fiend match, was kind of simple, and I think that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, everything except for the Fiend match was a return to form.
Yeah, the Fiend match was like and then we're gonna have Bray Wyatt do what Bray Wyatt does. And it's fun and it was enjoyable and it's great.
It was spectacle, which is what you get with him.
Yeah. Right. And everything else was kind of simple, and I feel like WWE needed to go back to their simpleness and to their brevity to kind of go back to form.
That's why I feel like I agree with you, because that's why my favorite match of the night, I think, personally, I thought, like, was the Hurt Business versus the New Day, because of how simple it was, how it was like just good old-fashioned wrestling. You got to see a story kind of unfold in the ring. And, like, that's not to dunk on any of the matches in this pay-per-view. All of them each had their own story to tell. Each of them did it in the way they saw it best. And to mostly, if not all across the board, like, at least to really good results. Right. So I feel like I see what you're saying, and I can agree.
I think a lot of times, too, and I always thought this through each generation of WWE stuff, whether you go back to the Hogan Macho years or you go to the Austin era, you go to Ruthless Aggression, what you see on TV can be so much. But usually what we forget about in WWE is Vince goes and he gets this talent that's really good at pro wrestling and then puts them in this Broadway spectacle, right?
Yeah.
Some of that can be good, some of it can be bad, but usually the wrestling is good.
Yes.
And what you had here in the middle of spectacle here in this match, spectacle here in this match, and then the uber spectacle at the very end was you put in the middle of that very good just wrestling.
Sasha versus Mel is a great example of just straight up mat wrestling.
Hurt Business, straight mat wrestling. Charlotte, Asuka, just what you had there was
just wrestling.
8 or 6 really good wrestlers wrestling.
Yes. And I'm going to say more about...
Go ahead.
Like, especially when the virus hit and all that stuff happened, you could almost feel WWE kind of frantically scrambling for something. You know, you could almost... because everything was so all over the place.
Yeah. The only place where they kind of were able to find their footing, I feel like... And we'll discuss this a little later on different podcasts, I feel like. But that was mainly, like, cinematic matches, kind of simple. Like, you started off as kind of like this... Straight up the Boneyard, and then we had the Bray Wyatt versus Cena. Yeah. And we slowly started to work our way to more like we take regular matches and we just edit around them so we can like make sure that everyone stays safe while still having that fun spectacle, which is what we finally
saw. Or give you the best camera angle.
Yes, so that way we don't cut away when Edge does his first spear coming back. Oops. Oops.
Right. Well, were you gonna say anything else?
Mainly I was just gonna say that. Because I think Vince might have been a little scared during this time, just for the future of WWE and what this would do. But I think overall, yes, this was a return to form, and I think it kind of worked well.
I think out of stars, I'm giving this out of a full emerald 38 Bobby Flays. There we go. Celebrity chefs because they're stars. And also, I said earlier about the Chris stuff. No one asked me how much does one Chris Jericho. That's 2K Chris Evans.
Okay.
Comedy.
For my man Ray, for Lit Nick, thank you for coming through. Had a good night, though. We had a good time, right?
Good time, good fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And for me, KP, this has been a Go Home Heat production, copyright 2020.
Go